Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. You're probably thinking, what did you just say? Most people know this disease as ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease. Amyotrophic comes from the Greek language, a meaning no or negative. Myo refers to muscle. Trophic means nourishment. Put it together, no muscle nourishment. Atrophies means waste away. Lateral identifies the area in a person's spinal cord where portions of the nerve cells that signal and control the muscles are located. Sclerosis means scarring or hardening. Lou Gehrig's disease is a rapidly progressive fatal neurological disease that attacks the nerve cells responsible for controlling voluntary muscles. It was first described in 1869, but wasn't until 1939 when Lou Gehrig brought national and international attention to the disease when he retired from baseball after being diagnosed. There are as many as 30,000 people in the United States diagnosed with ALS. Over 5,000 people are diagnosed each year. 90 to 95% of the cases occur at random with no associated risk factors. 5 to 10% of cases are inherited. It most commonly strikes people between the ages of 40 and 60, but there have been a few cases with people in their 20s and 30s. 93% are Caucasian and 60% are men. Most people diagnosed with this disease only live between 3 and 5 years, but there have been a few cases of people living more than 10 years with this. Some early symptoms of the disease is muscle weakness in the hands, arms, legs, and even in the muscles of speech, swallowing or breathing. Twitching and cramping of the muscles, mostly in your hands or feet. In the later stages, you'll have impairment of the use of your arms and legs. You'll have difficulty speaking, and you'll have shortness of breath or difficulty breathing or swallowing. People must have signs and symptoms of both upper and lower motor neuron damage that cannot be attributed to other causes. Therefore, there are many tests you must take in order to figure out your diagnosis of this disease. EMGs, X-rays including MRI, a spinal tap, muscle nerve biopsy, and a thorough neurological examination. This is a picture of what a normal person's nerve cell and muscle look like compared to the nerve and muscle of someone affected with ALS. What causes ALS? There are no known causes of ALS, although researchers are doing what they can to figure out what causes this disease. Some have found a gene where its enzymes are mutated, which believed can cause the degeneration of the muscles. And there is also a related gene to frontal lobe degeneration. Since there is no known cause of this disease, there really is no known cure. In 1995, the FDA approved of Rivutag, which is a medication that helps slow down the degeneration of muscles, but has only prolonged the life for just a few months. There are other medications to help with the pain and the depression that some people may have due to the disease. A lot of people must take physical therapy or speech therapy in order to function throughout the day as they cope with the disease. There's also nutritional support for people that end up having to get a tube to feed through when they lose the movement in their mouth. And later on, some people end up having to get ventilators to help them breathe. And then there are people that must have 24-hour care in order to function through the day because they can no longer move. But a person with the disease has full control of how they feel. Their brain works perfectly fine. It's just the brain isn't sending any messages to their muscles. Although Lou Gehrig made the disease known and famous, but Stephen Hawking is probably the most famous person with this disease today. He is what most experts say had a juvenile case. He was diagnosed in his 20s, and because he was diagnosed so young, the disease works a lot slower on him than on people that are diagnosed in their 40s or 50s. He is now 70 and has lived with this disease for over 50 years. If you want to learn more about ALS or want to get involved, here are a few organizational websites that you can look at. This is very dear to me because my grandfather was diagnosed at the age of 40 and died at the age of 45. I never got to meet him, but I've only heard great stories about him. I try to learn as much as I can about this, try to get involved with what I can, and hopefully you guys can look into a little more. Maybe you can get involved in some way. And I hope you guys learned a lot, and please take a look at these sites, and I hope you enjoyed.